All right. Should I go into just... So, often my dreams have like similar to like a TV show, have like an A and a B plot, more or less, that they transition to.
I would say tell it chronologically, and don't worry about trying to explain it, just what happened. Yeah, and then we're going to explain it together. Yeah.
All right, so it started off with me being in a fantasy sort of town. It's not necessarily fantasy, but more like a, you know, when you go to like a historic reenactment town, it was something like this, but fantasy themed. So I went there and I happened to make some friends there. Those friends then asked me to go swimming with them, so I went swimming with them in a river, but it turned out that there was a huge sea monster in that river that was trying to eat me, and I was just barely able to climb up on a bridge and be able to evade that sea monster. From then on, I walked back again to the fantasy reenactment area, where I then started to join a theater group in which I played as a vampire, which later turned into me being a real vampire for a bit. But so yeah, I was playing the part of a vampire, and I had to start like designing the play that I was playing in, and like one of the things I did was we had like a PowerPoint, not a PowerPoint, like a movie projector, and someone was playing a game related to the play that we were playing. And because we had way too many actors, I told them to use their time, instead of participating in the play, that they should do a live play of the music that was happening in the game. So we basically muted the game and instead told them to play music instead. And then I had to take 4 huge pieces of steak or meat and write my lines on them, so I didn't forget them. And together with a co-star of mine, a female co-star, I practiced, and then I wanted to run back home. And from then on, it transitioned into a reoccurring dream that I haven't had in probably like 10 years. But back then had a lot, where I participated in a race that was there were not really any rules. You could like punch the other contestants, you could ride the subway. It just mattered that you were the first one to get there. So I kept running, and eventually I couldn't connect the dots at that time yet, that this was like my reoccurring dream, but I started to remember some areas of the close to the end, and I knew that there was a train that always drove past there. So I jumped onto the train, basically rode the subway closer to the end, jumped off of it, and I wanted to get first place, but I didn't manage to. So I saw that two people were already there, so I really did my best. I ran over red street lanterns. I did everything I could, but I just barely came in fourth. But then something happened that made me realize again, oh, this is this reoccurring dream. All of us were then apprehended and kidnapped by random people, and we were put into a classroom environment where we were told that this was a test to find the best of the best, and only the top 14 participants would be kidnapped. And we were chosen ones to serve their god. And me already kind of basically knowing where this was going, I just tried to find a way to escape. So I ran away from the classroom, and I found myself outside of a pretty decent looking university type building, but there are also a bunch of those teacher handlers there that were trying to catch me. And they basically told me it doesn't even matter if I run and tell anyone about this, because no one's gonna believe that in a university building like this some horrible crime would happen. I then still managed to evade them, ran away towards an elevator that would lead back to the surface, because it turned out that I was underground. And the problem was, however, that once I tried getting on said elevator, I couldn't. So there was already something that had anchored me to this lower plane. So I had to kind of give up, and I just went back to the classroom where they had already completely brainwashed the other participants. And I then asked the head instructor, so how many times have I been here already? How many times have we done this? And then she listed off multiple times that I have been here and multiple times that I have been sacrificed. And I asked, so why do we even do this anymore? If you just keep sacrificing me and it turns out I just keep coming back, why do this? And then she didn't have an answer. So what happened is, I somehow inside the dream figured out a way to control the situation I was in, and I transported myself back in time right before I was about to get kidnapped, and then hid from them. I then was reminded of having to complete the play, so I went back to the play area, to the theater area, participated in the play, this time as an actual vampire, and it turned out that the other lady, the co-star, actually tried to rat me out to this cult. And not only had she ratted me out to the cult, she also took away two of the sheets where my lines were written on, so I couldn't complete the play. And then I basically finished the play as best as I could with the limited amount of info I had. And from then on, I found one of my friends that I made in the original, like way in the beginning, and it turned out that she was also a vampire. So we then tried to go back to the area where I was first kidnapped, and I purposefully went down the elevator, and that was where the dream ended.